What's up, YouTube? What's up, Facebook? We're usually live in my studio, but today tornadoes are smacking down in Dallas. So I am outside a random parking lot using someone's internet, and I am going to be live streaming. We're going to talk a little bit about student housing, a little bit about real estate, a little bit about wholesaling, and we're going to be hanging out with our friends here in the Discord. So let me flip on over to the Discord right now. Guys, today's the day. So Kylie, what is going on with your deal here, Kylie?
Okay, everything is great. Everything is good. We were actually just talking before the stream had started about one of the messages I received from the agent. Yes. So I know that they have been going through a lot of issues with people getting it under contract for too high and then backing out. And so we were making jokes because this agent was vetting me, and she legit asked me what my Facebook was and told me she was stalking me.
So can you give people the background on this agent? Because this has been the hardest deal to close, and it's a $90,000 ugly house. And they are doing more due diligence than like the FBI does on like a new hire. This is
I made a joke about this.
Did you? It's crazy.
I did.
I mean, what's going on? All this work just to buy a $90,000 house is crazy to me. So they want to know your Facebook.
Yeah, literally. Let's see if I can show the message.
Wait, just hold it there. Hold it there. It's gonna.
Oh, hold on.
Hello.
Hey, what's up, man? I don't know. It's not catching into. Stay right there and just hold it there. It may come back. I see it now. Is your Facebook in a different name than Kylie Cole? Yes, I'm stalking you. My sellers are exhausted. What do you mean by okay, so what's happened here and what you guys will come across is, especially on ugly homes, they'll get under contract time after time after time by wholesalers, right? But most wholesalers are not professional wholesalers like all of us in this Discord. They're scammy, they're sleazy, they give the industry a bad name. So, sellers will get exhausted and then start to act irrational to good wholesalers like us. So they've asked for proof of funds on a $90,000 house. They've asked for your Facebook, to stalk your Facebook. What else have they asked for?
Extremely high earnest money.
They asked for $5,000 EMD on a $90,000 house. Guys, EMD is usually $900 on a $90,000 house. It's usually 1%. So we're going to do all this, and Kylie may walk away making maybe like $1,000, $2,000, maybe $3,000, and then our company's probably going to make similar. Like, it's not even a big payday house, but sometimes this is what it takes, guys, to get a deal closed. So that's that. Who else is here in the stream? Patrick, what's up? Say hi to the people. Patrick's frozen. Tornado smacked him too.
I knew he was going to talk to.
Tornado smacked him too. All right, I got a Kosh here. Who else do we have in here? I got my boy Shanks. We got Maurice. Maria, okay. Mr. McCall. P. Marinick. Simon, what's up, Simon? And Wiz, what's up, dude? So, love to see you guys. The point of today's conversation was supposed to give you guys a full masterclass on student housing. Unfortunately,
pushed the wrong button.
That's all good, man. Unfortunately, may not happen today because we are outside of a FedEx, as you guys can see right there. But I'll give you guys a quick rundown on student housing, just a good overview and why I'm so bullish on it. And in a few weeks, we'll do a giant masterclass, and I'll teach you everything from A to Z on what you guys got to do to start investing and getting started in student housing and why I'm so bullish on it. But, before we just start doing that, did anyone else have any questions for me? Quick Q&A, wholesaling, real estate, gym, dog, anything you guys wanted to ask?
I don't think so.
No, you guys are good. I know Patrick will have words of wisdom once he comes back in the chat. Yeah, it's crazy. So I was all good. I was super hyped for the live stream, and then I get home like right before it, and power's out in all the streets. It's chaos here, but we're good. We're safe. That's all that matters. We're safe. Patrick, say hi to the people before we get started.
My laptop had like an aneurysm. I'm not sure what happened. But,
yeah, we saw it. Don't worry.
Doing all right. Happy to be back on and learning more about some student housing. I'm super excited about it. And To throw some input in to what Kylie has going on, typical due diligence from a listing agent, if you got a pre-approval, is maybe call the lender and say, hey, how does your buyers look? And if it's cash, it's cash. You know, it's not, there's no Facebook checklist for any listing agent that I know. So
No,
sorry,
it's absolutely crazy. Not only do we have to provide proof of funds, she wants to call the lender who provided proof of funds, which is actually the company we own. So she's just going due diligence, due diligence, due diligence. And I appreciate her to some extent, but man, it's a little much. But that's okay. We'll get it done. We will get it done. So, Patrick, before we go, how are your 2 deals closing? You're gonna make 40 grand this week, or when are your deals closing?
40 grand next week. So this title company that I'm using has still not gotten title in, even though it was requested the 13th of May. So there's no delay on the buyer's end. It's the title company, or North Carolina's an attorney state. So typically, I mean, the attorneys that I usually work with have title in 24 to 48 hours. But this is one of the title companies that will do wholesaling assignments, double closings. So I don't have much of an option, and so I use them, and they're just taking a little bit of time on title. So it looks like closing next Tuesday for it, and then the other deal that I have closing next week as well, because my end buyer cash, but he wants to get an appraisal, and I didn't want to deny him that, so he's getting an appraisal.
Okay, wonderful. I'm happy to hear that. Love it. So we're going to talk some student housing, and right before I do that, so I am using this fancy software. Pace Morby uses it. It's called StreamYard, so I can do my streaming. Unfortunately, there's 2 different types of links. You can send a link to invite people into the StreamYard and talk, but we're using Discord, or you can invite a link so they can watch it. I sent the link to invite people inside. So there are a ton of people who are trying to enter my stream and actually participate in it instead of just being a viewer. And now I need to go and put out some fires. But I have no idea how to do that. So Lewis, man, if you're seeing this, and I think it was Bruce before this, I am so sorry, guys. I'm just going to friendly kick you from the studio. And hopefully you guys figure it out, and that is 1,000% on me. So, student housing. I was watching an awesome video by Pace Morby the other day, and he was saying that luxury is not where you want to be investing. You don't want to, and he's so done with Airbnbs. And I've always been the guy who hates Airbnbs. And if you guys love investing in Airbnbs, hey, I'm not here to fight with you. There are incredible investments in Airbnbs, and you can make a lot of money in that. But that's always been a lot more speculative. It's like buying, low cap tech stocks than actually investing in like the S&P 500 or like the Apples and the Teslas. Well, yeah, you could say Tesla's secure now, or Facebook's, right, or even the videos of the world. And, to me, those core stocks in real estate is either your long-term rental, but really your affordable housing. And what can fall under affordable housing? It can be a long-term rental, your typical 12-month rental, or it can be renting by the room. It can also be Section 8, which is when the government will, give you, the landlord, money to offset the rent of someone who meets their criteria for Section 8 who doesn't have a lot of money. But really, my favorite model within all of affordable housing is renting by the room. And that's what Pace Morby was saying. He said, hey, I learned the hard way. I don't want to be doing luxury, and I don't want to be doing Airbnbs. Right, Soup? What I want to be doing, oh my God, what happened to my screen, Soup? You're always doing damage. What I want to be doing is, I want to be giving rent and affordable housing to the bottom denominator. Now, his reasonings were super interesting. He was saying AI, artificial intelligence, is going to come rock the world, and it's going to cause the wealth gap to increase. And I can talk to you all about why he thinks that, the economics behind it. But more or less, whatever your reason is, it's pretty undeniable. The middle class is just getting more and more disappeared, right? They're not there. And things are just getting more and more expensive. And if you provide rent to people who do not have a lot of money, whether they could be, and it's not your typical just poor person. It can be people who are just trying to get started. It can be, maybe some of you out here who are trying to start a business and you need to, save money, whatever that is. You will never have vacancies. That's the first thing. And there'll always be a need for you. Recession, tornadoes, whatever the situation is, there's always going to be a need for your rentals. And what kills landlords, what causes foreclosures, is not you having to decrease rent. It's not incidences here or there, it's vacancies. Vacancies is your worst enemy as a landlord. As a real estate investor, you don't want vacancies. So how can you never have a vacancy? Is having affordable housing, always being the cheapest and best solution for somebody. Now, there's, again, different models to do it. You can put one person in one house, or you can just create a lot of bedrooms in a house and rent those bedrooms out to a lot of people and really drive the cost down of that bedroom. So, for example, a bedroom could be $600 versus an apartment being $1,200. If you're, don't have a lot of money, that's a great solution. Are you going to have a family live in that bedroom? No, it's for usually single people, maybe couples who are just trying to get their footing in the ground and in the earth. Now, there's different versions of renting by the room, and that's what we'll talk about today. My favorite being student housing, but you could take this model and say, hey, I'm just going to do a pad split, or hey, I'm going to do sober living, whatever your model is. So that's that. Before we start ripping into it and answering questions, if you guys have any comments or anything you want to ask, right, Soup? I'm going to turn the AC on in my car before I die. Nope, I think we're good to run it. All right, cool. So does anyone here have any type of like rent by room rentals or anything like that? No, Patrick doesn't.
I work with a lot of investors who do rent by the room. I don't have any rent by the room rentals myself, but it's a popular method outside of a lot of military installations.
Military is another great one. Yep. Gotcha. Okay. So then you've sold houses to people who are looking for rent by room, and I'm sure you guys have heard of Pad Split, right? Pad Split's a company that helps you do rent by rooms. They'll help manage it. Really, the difficulty with this is it creates a lot of money, but with more money comes more problems, and with more tenants come more problems, and that's where you need to nail the management. Because in a typical house, instead of having 5 or 6 tenants, now you're going to have, instead of having one tenant, now you're going to have 5 or 6 tenants, right? You could have 7, you could have 8. Some people are putting 8 people in a 2,000 square foot house, and that becomes very difficult to manage. So let me make sure that I got everything recording well and go full screen mode like this, and then we'll jump into it. So now I think really the point of this conversation is to just understand the rent by room model, and then depending on the location of the house, you turn that model into your desired exit strategy for real estate. So if you have a rent by room house and it's next to a college, student housing. If you have a rent by room house and it's next to like a office space, or a big it's next to like an Apple headquarters, well, it's like, okay, well, I'm just going to make this like workforce housing for people who work at Apple. Well, whatever the situation is, next to a military base, okay, so that's going to be your solution there. I prefer just student housing. When you do student housing, there's a lot of things you got to look into. I wouldn't want to be doing student housing at Ivy Leagues right now, because Ivy Leagues are in a bit of a downturn. And for the foreseeable future, I don't see Ivy Leagues performing well. Less and less students are going to be going to Ivy Leagues, but a lot more students want to be going to still affordable, maybe trades type colleges. So you got to look into all those things. The college where I do my student rentals at, it's one of the fastest growing colleges in America. It's an affordable college. It's a public college. The student body size has pretty much went 50% up in the past 8 years. So it's like anything, supply and demand. And there's a lack of supply of housing at my college. So I never have vacancies and I can drive our prices. And there's a ton of demand. So when you're looking into your rent by rooms, make sure that there is a supply and demand that's in your favor. You guys can just buy a house and then just hope that you can rent it out by the room. Very possible that you can, but I prefer usually to have a weight, something that's pushing me in the right momentum. So I want it to be located next to a big hospital, next to a big office center, next to something. So I just have that extra boost. Now, the type of houses y'all want to look for, minimum 1,500 square feet. Your goal is to create bedrooms in scale. Usually the scale starts to work in your favor at 4 bedrooms, and it really starts to make sense at 5 bedrooms. I won't do rent by room with anything less than 5 bedrooms. And the reason is really simple. You start to look at these houses, and let's say here in Texas, for example, I can buy a 3-bedroom house for $300,000, but I can buy a 4-bedroom house for like $350,000, and I can buy a 5-bedroom house for like $380,000, $390,000, right? And you don't really find 6-bedroom houses. You have to create that bedroom. Well, what you really want to start to look at is not the price of the house, but the price of the bedrooms. So in that first example, 3 bedrooms for $300,000, that's $100,000 per bedroom. And if I'm renting out each of those bedrooms at $1,000, right, you can just start to see how you'll look at these numbers. That means it'll take me, 100 months to generate the returns back, and so on and so forth. But now if I'm at 5 bedrooms for close to $400,000, it's a lot less per bedroom, and that's where you start to make your money. So that's my other thing. So minimum 1,500 square foot houses, you can put 5 bedrooms in there, but it gets really tight. I don't recommend it. I would look at 2,000 square feet plus to be safe. So really 2,000 to around 3,000 is going to be your sweet spot. And I don't like to go over 6 bedrooms, but everybody's different. Some people are having good luck at 8 bedrooms. It really depends on your neighborhood and what it calls for. So that's your first rundown, guys. Feel free to whip out the questions and just start asking, and I'll tell you a little bit more about my rentals. And again, this is going to be a high level overview. We'll jump into the masterclass another week. I just promised you guys a lecture on student housing. You guys seem all good. All right, perfect. So, why do I love it so much? It's take one of my houses for example. One of these houses would rent on the market right now for $3,500. I have a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house that I took out the dining room on and created a 6-bedroom. So now it's a 6-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. Another thing when it comes back to what you guys are looking for, 3 bathrooms minimum, in my opinion. Bathrooms are expensive to make. Maybe you can create a really cheap bathroom for $10,000, but it's probably going to cost you more. Bedrooms you can build for like $1,000. So try to find homes with 3 bathrooms. But anyways, back to the point. I have a 5-bedroom, 3-bathroom house that would rent for $3,500 on the market. But doing student housing, I'm generating $5,750 in rent from that same property. I turned the dining room into a bedroom, and I'm renting on average, about $900 a bedroom. Some rooms are renting for more, some rooms a little bit less. Now, which one would you rather have, $3,500 or $5,750? That extra $2,250, that's pure cash flow. Literally just comes into my pocket every single month. So, I run the numbers on that house, and that house actually makes me $20 a month. Sorry, $20 an hour. That would be awful, $20 a month. It makes me $20 an hour just in income, right? So, while I'm sleeping, while I'm eating at Chipotle, while I'm out here outside of FedEx, I'm making $20 an hour just from the house. And, there's a lot of reasons that go into it. I've owned the house for close to 8 years now, so I have rent appreciation on my side. I had an insane inflationary economy that helped me out. I have, on top of that, there's so many factors. I have a 3% interest rate. I have a lot of things that are working in my favor that you won't have buying your first property, but over a long enough time horizon, you'll have those same factors working in your favor. And then you'll be also able to earn $10, $20, $30 an hour from one property, which is just crazy to think about. So, and then I have a second house that I'm doing the same model with that I bought when I was 20. First house I bought when I was 18. Second house I bought when I was 20. And I wish I would have bought more homes, but I didn't know about sub 2 and seller finance at the time. So that sucked. So I had to use mortgages. Guys, jump on in and rip me some questions. I know you have questions, Kylie. You're taking note. Patrick, you're thinking. What questions?
So how do you handle? Question number one is how common is tenant conflict when you have A bedroom and B bedroom, and B bedroom blast their music too loud at 2:00 in the morning, and they smoke pot, and maybe there's all this going on. How common is tenant issues?
Yeah, no, it's such a great question. That's why me personally, I have not yet done the pad split model. So for those of you who don't know, pad split is you're pretty much just renting out to strangers, right? To just random people who are applying. just random, usually young professionals. And for the most part, and I don't want to, demean these people. Some of them, amazing people just trying to find their way, but there's going to be some of them who are just low lives, right? And that's just going to happen. That's why when you do student housing, for the most part, you're sheltered because those low lives don't get into the schools unless you're doing like a community college or something. So you already have that in your favor. You have the school who is already taking out those people. Same thing with like military housing that you're talking about, right? You're not going to get some low life people in there. Now, again, that's not the majority of people, but all it takes, and I learned this the hard way, is exactly what you're saying. You have a house of 6 people and you have 5 incredible tenants, but you have one bad apple in the property. It causes endless problems, and it causes the other 5 pristine tenants to become rotten apples too. One girl stops cleaning, starts playing loud music, starts inviting friends over and partying, starts doing, illegal substances in the house. It will cause rifts between everybody, and will also cause the other people to realize, oh, I don't have to treat this house well. This is a party house, right? So that's why, one, I like to protect myself I like to work smarter, not harder, right? So I just say, oh, the school's already qualifying these people. They're already having interviews by the school. They had to get into the school, which is not an easy school to get into. That already did 90% of my work. Now I already know they're a pretty good person. Then I can go through and do the final touches. So I think it's so important that you vet these tenants more than you would vet a typical long-term rental tenant. You really want to find great people. I make it very clear day one that my homes are not party homes. It's a place for you just to come in, study, and get your stuff done. You can set really strict rules in the lease too, if you need to protect yourself from that. But it's such a great question. I don't have any problems really, because, and I think you heard this in one of my old live streams, I only pretty much rent to nerds, and I love nerds. Nerds are the best tenants. They have headphones, they play their video games, and that's all they do. They don't drink, they don't smoke, they don't talk to other girls. So most of my rentals are primarily male. I don't say that a house has to be male or female because I don't want to, that's hairy with the law. That's a protected class. Gender is a protected class. But usually females don't want to live with other guys. I've had female tenants live with guys. It gets a little tricky. So my houses usually end up being all male. I do want a female house one day. That would be convenient. But anyways, and so, these guys are just good core guys. Now, if you're going to rent out a school like a TCU or a Texas State or any party school, name the party school in your state, really be careful. If you want a frat house, that's fine. Don't then have a nice house and just expect it to be a frat house. Expect to have a cleaning crew come in weekly or monthly. At the old frat houses, we used to have cleaning crews who would come in weekly and clean the houses, right? But just expect and know that that's your environment. But if you really want a nice property, then you're going to have to look for the nerds, as I say. So great question, Patrick. Kylie, Chris, do you have any questions on this or how to find the right deal for student housing?
I think we're just learning right now.
Yeah, you guys
really.
are just learning? Okay, got it. So again, so student housing is an awesome model, but you really want to make sure that the school is in need of housing. So housing is oftentimes provided by the college. Sometimes it's mandatory to live on campus year 1 and year 2. So if that's the case, now your pool of candidates is much lower. And sometimes colleges have a ton of housing on campus. My college has a lot of housing on campus. They don't have enough, and it's extremely expensive. So I'm always priced under them. Right. So it takes a lot. Oh, geez, I almost lost my computer. It takes a lot of research to know what market you should be in. So I highly encourage y'all to put the work in before you buy a property. And a lot of people just go and buy a house next to a campus and expect it to be fully rented and just create all these bedrooms. There's a property that was sent to me in this group multiple times by this poor lady who seems to be going into foreclosure. She built a house in UT Arlington in Arlington next to UT Arlington, created all these bedrooms and expected it to be a student housing rental, and it's gone sideways on her. So it takes a lot of market research before you do it. I would tell you, one, know if your college is a commuter college or not. If it's a commuter college, then your pool of candidates is going to be lower because kids are living at home and commuting. You want usually a school that people have moved out of city or out of state to go to. Two, how much housing is on campus, and does the college require undergraduates or freshmen and sophomores to live on campus, or can they live off campus? And then you also want to know how many students are local versus like foreign transfer students. Transfer and foreign students will need different necessities than local students. For example, I get a lot of students from India. They don't have licenses and they don't have furniture. So just different things you got to think about. Now my houses need to be close to campus or close to a bus stop, or they need to have a scooter or bicycle rack at the house, or garage space to put their bicycles and their scooters. And then they also don't have furniture. So now I offer a furniture package, right? Just different little things that unfortunately you only learn by doing. Did I know this at 18 when I bought my first house? No. But this is why I'm telling you guys to really do the minute research. Now, if you don't have a college near you, do you still want to do this? I think yes, you can. You have to decide if you want to self-manage or outsource management. I personally prefer to self-manage all my properties. But if you want to outsource management, then yeah, you don't need to be living close to a college. Or if you don't have the right college near you, that's okay. You can do it, a little bit further away. Or you just decide, hey, I want to do more of a pad split model. Now, I'm not affiliated with pad split at all, but I've heard mostly only good things. So you can either do the pad split yourself or leverage pad split, right? And they'll find your tenants. So pad splits models is they'll help you. Like you show them your house, they'll sort of tell you how you should design it, or how it works. Maybe some of you here have pad splits or are more familiar with it, and then they'll find the tenants who would live at your house. From my understanding, they're more short-term tenants. I have all my leases written at 12 months. I don't like turnover. Turnover is like what I explained in the beginning of this live stream. That's what creates bankruptcies. I'd rather rent my rooms $50 or $100 cheaper per month and have 12 months tenants than weekly or monthly tenants. Turnover vacancies create bankruptcies. So that's the long pitch on student housing. But
question.
Go ahead.
When you're looking for the student housing properties, are you considering garages, or are you just going to convert those, or are those ideal? Or
Great question. So again, I can only speak for what I know, and I have a very small bubble of understanding because what works for me at my college is going to be different than what works at your college and your state. At the moment, garages serve absolutely zero purpose. So if I have a garage, what I would personally do is convert a garage to 2 bedrooms. That's probably going to cost you like 10 grand. You get rid of the garage door, you insulate, you drywall, you put an actual door in there, and then you put a mini split system, and then you run another wall in the middle, and you just created 2 bedrooms. 2 bedrooms is probably close to $2,000 in rent. I mean, it could be $1,000 in rent at your school, or it could be $4,000 in rent. It depends on your school. And to me, that's a huge ROI. You spend 10 grand, at least at my houses, I would spend 10 grand to then generate $2,000 a month. I'd be paid off in 5 months. Beautiful ROI. Now, the reasons I don't personally do that is my cities here are very strict. Although I'm not in an HOA and do not buy in an HOA, the cities are very strict and they're very nice neighborhoods, and I don't want more students at my properties. I could do that, but I don't personally want to risk it, and I do not need the capital as much as I want to deal with the problems with the city. But yeah, so either turn the garages into 2 bedrooms, or you could turn it into a master suite. I think 2 bedrooms makes more sense if you have the bathrooms to supply it. That would be another thing is like, don't go over 4 bathrooms per person. I prefer to keep it at 3 maximum. You can have master bedrooms. Actually, it's funny. I don't know, Patrick, if you know this, but the term master bedroom is politically incorrect now. Don't they? it's called, I don't know if it's like that in North Carolina or you're in North Carolina, right, Patrick? Yeah, it's politically incorrect. We're supposed to say owner's suite. So there you go. That's a fun tidbit of marketing for y'all. Master bedroom is politically incorrect.
I've seen the transition. I didn't know what it was about, though. I have seen owner's suite a lot more.
Yeah,
but I didn't know.
it's owner's suite. So anyways, I still say master bedroom because it seems weird to say owner's suite. My owner's suite is renting for $1,150 to $1,300. But the regular bedrooms can be renting from $850 to like $950, right? So that's a little bit of a difference. But you can imagine 2 bedrooms rents for a lot more than 1 master bedroom. So you would, as much as you can, try not to get master bedrooms. A house with 2 master bedrooms, to me, is not that interesting. I'd rather just have 3 bedrooms, right? But make sure to keep that ratio of bedrooms to bathrooms fairly low, 2 to 3. Maybe it's different with girls too, right? I don't have too many girls as tenants. I've had them in the past. So maybe guys don't really care too much about the bathroom. They just go in there and piss, do their business, and maybe brush their teeth once a month. Girls are a lot more, they care a lot more about their bathrooms and their space. So maybe with girls, you don't want to have 3-4 people in a bathroom. Maybe you limit that to 2 to 3. Kylie,
so I did have an investor who charged more for any bedrooms that were connected to bathrooms. So he would have like one rate for bedrooms that were standalone, and then more for the ones that were connected for bathrooms.
Yeah. So what I do is I have one house that shares a bathroom with 3 people. Most of my properties, the bathrooms share with 2 people. Sorry, with two other. Okay, yeah. So with 2 total. So one room has. One bathroom has 3 people. The other situations is that one bathroom will have 2 people, and then I have situations of master bedrooms, so private bathrooms. And the theories that I've gathered is pretty interesting with the guys. The guys don't care whether they have 2 people in a bathroom or 3 people in a bathroom or 4 people in a bathroom. They just genuinely don't care. They'll pay the same amount. They don't care. They only care if they get their own bathroom. They don't care whether they're sharing it with 2 or 3 people. They will only pay a premium if they're sharing it with 1 person. So that was an interesting study I ran. And if you are sharing a bath, and if you do have your own private bathroom, usually I've noticed you can get maybe 20 to 30% more. I would say 20% to be safe is what I've personally noticed. Go for it.
One, do you have chat? Can you see chat?
Oh yeah, I haven't even looked at chat. Thank you so much.
Okay. Well, say Investor Garcia, he asked the question. He said, "Are you using a property manager for your student housing property, or are you doing all the vetting and managing work?"
Yeah, no, I am doing. Hey, what's up, chat? I love it. No, I'm currently self-managing all my properties. It's not a bad idea at all to get a property manager. I just started off by house hacking, so I started off by managing my own properties, and then learned systems and realized that I can implement the systems affordably and without too much time. So it currently makes sense for me to manage my own properties. If they were further away or I got a few more properties, I'd probably still in-house my management, but just hire out staff to do it. I'm very controlling, and I like to keep everything close by. So that's a great question. But no, I'm currently in-house managing it and do not have anybody on my team. I'm doing it solo. But again, I only have 2 properties and 11 tenants. At probably 4 properties and 20 plus tenants is when I would hire out. But great question. If you hire a property manager, expect to pay probably like 7 to 12% of your total rent. And to me personally, let's just say that's 10%. I don't want to give away $1,000 a month in cash flow. That's a lot of money, and to me, this is worth $1,000 a month to manage it. And just like realtors, most property managers are absolutely garbage, but there's a select few property managers that are golden. And if you do have that property manager that's golden, it's probably worth paying them that $1,000 a month. But most are awful, and they'll just create more problems than if you were just doing it yourself. So, long story short is, I highly recommend that everybody one, wholesale before they invest in real estate. I did that backwards. But two, manage properties before they use property managers. I think being a property manager, being a landlord, is a terrific experience and teaches you so much. I think it's invaluable. So you should absolutely do it yourself if you can for a little bit, and then decide to hire out. Because again, it's like running a company. How can you employ staff and tell them what to do properly if you yourself have never done the job? So how can you have a property manager and make sure that they're doing everything well when you don't even know what it takes? So go do it, go suffer, and realize that it sucks, but you're learning. That's what I would personally do. So, then I'm going to close the chat here, but if there's anything else, just let me know. Yeah, no, for sure. Great question. How much time does it take me to manage my properties? It's actually fairly passive. I would not say this is passive income. There's no such thing in real estate if you're not doing what Cody does, which is wraps. But really, it's fairly passive. I don't really have any problems, except like when a water heater goes out, which recently happened. That water heaters now are $2,000. I had no idea.
For tankless?
Yeah, for just for a friggin' water heater. I think it was a 40-gallon water heater. They quoted me $2,000. Luckily, I negotiated the plumber down to $1,200. So don't think you guys can't negotiate. Negotiating down to
so he made $1,500 off of you because a 50-gallon water heater is $500.
Dude, not here. Well, it depends. It depends which ones you're buying. So like the Home Depot ones, if you go to a plumbing store and you get a higher quality ones, maybe you're spending like $700-800. But stuff's gotten so expensive. It's crazy, man. Anyways, so when that happens, trees, I had a tree that fell or damn near destroyed the house. So there's stuff all the time. Then there's petty little things like the guys aren't cleaning, those things. But I would say on average, it's currently about like once a month is a little situation that arises. But where my difficulties come is right now in the summer months. I have a big amount of turnover. I don't think one thing I do well, or maybe I just can't prevent it, is my renewal rates are very low. I'd say they're about 20% renewal rates. So that means I need to find a ton of tenants in the summer months. Luckily, it's usually not too difficult, but it still takes advertising. That's something I want to talk to you guys about, is how do you find tenants? So that's what I'm currently going through now. I'm going to have to recruit about probably 6 to 8 tenants, which is a lot, right? That's like recruiting for 6 to 8 homes. So that's going to take up some time this summer. It's a bit of a pain.
That was going to be my next question is how hard is it for you to find a tenant who will rent a room? I know here in Fayetteville, if you post up something for rent, you got like 40 applications in like a week or so.
Yeah, that's it's a blessing and a curse. It's exactly what you said. If I post hey, I have a room available for $875, and I make it very clear that it's for students, but then you go on Facebook Marketplace, and I looked at my messages. And again, if I was live streaming right now, I'll show you. My masterclass, I'll show you, and I'll show you exactly like what I write, every little detail. This is just a high-level overview. But I get hundreds of messages, but you start looking at their Facebook profiles, and they have, large families, and they want to rent 1 bedroom. Or there's all these and it's never just like the student. And I make it very clear, like, hey, this is student housing, right? But it's so sad. There's so many people who have fallen on hard times, and they just desperately need a room to rent. And that's obviously not my clientele. So there's a lot of sorting through bad applicants. And these applicants would never qualify, most likely. So that's one issue. And that's why maybe like that pad split model would be ideal for you guys. So you're not sorting through the bad applicants yourself. But how do I personally find students is try to get out of the general like Facebook Marketplace and go to like student forums. And again, every college, the students are going to live somewhere different. My college, they have their own app. Luckily, my girlfriend is still in college, so she can post on the app for me. But also Facebook forums, Reddit forums. My school's very nerdy, so they love Reddit. They also have their own website. It's like, or Dallas off-campus housing website's a good one. So yeah, it's sort of learning the secrets of your school and where the students live. And then this is the worst nightmare ever, guys. And this always stresses me out. My leases go from August 10th to August 10th. That's another thing I'll talk to you guys about, 12-month leases. So I'm going to keep just dropping knowledge bombs. It's going to be super unorganized, this video, but hopefully you guys are picking up on these hard lessons I didn't learn. Anyways, my leases will go to August 10th. I will start posting and advertising now. And usually, and I've noticed this trend over the past many years, I'll probably maybe get 1 or 2 rooms locked up in May, June, and July, which stresses me the hell out because we're talking thousands and thousands of dollars a month that I need to get rented. And these college kids, I keep forgetting, they're freaking college kids. They're so last minute, and they'll start school August 10th, August 14th, whatever the day they start school, and they won't have a place to live come August 8th or 9th. And they'll message me last minute, hey, bro, I sort of forgot to find a house, and now my mom's yelling at me. Do you still have room available? And I'm like, yeah, I do. So it's one thing you got to know with the students is that you'll probably end up getting your rooms rented last minute, which as a business owner is extremely stressful, but you have to remember that's your clientele. They're college kids. So I keep reminding myself every day, don't stress over it. The rooms will get rented probably late August or early August, not late August, hopefully. That's that. And then I'll get people late August, September into October. Hey man, I've been sleeping in my car because I don't have a house, forgot to apply. Can I live at your house? And I'm like, no, the rooms are rented. What were you doing? So anyways, great question. But yeah, that's where you want to look for students. Now, if you have just like a pad split or just a house that's not student oriented, just posting on Facebook and Craigslist, and then unfortunately having to sort through the hundreds of messages you're going to get. It's going to be a lot of work.
I'm sure you can train some AI bot to run through them.
AI bot or just a simple VA. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. That's a very good point. So yeah, another thing that's going to
kind of off topic.
Yeah, no, please go for it.
This is kind of off topic. How often are you using AI in your business? How much of a presence does AI have in your business right now?
Man, not as much as it used to be. Unfortunately, it doesn't do video content creation yet, and that's mostly my job, right?
Well, you do faceless.
It can do faceless, but I'm the face. So for someone like me, not yet, but I do use it. Like I'm currently rebuilding and rebranding the website for the company. I'm having it outline the website. Whenever I'm doing like scripts or learning materials, I'm leveraging AI. So maybe it's a handful of times per week, but it's not as much as some people. How much are you using it, Patrick? It's great for admin work, but it still has not yet. And one thing I'll say before I let you go and let you rip it is I'm working on a startup that some of you may have heard about. I'm building a creative finance software. And I'll talk to you guys more about that soon once I release it. I've been working on it every day at night. But I used AI for a huge portion of it. Without AI, I would have never been able to build out these extremely complicated formulas. I mean, I wrote formulas, guys, that are like what's up, dude? Paragraphs long of formulas, and there's hundreds of them. And it's just because of AI. Like I would have never been able to write those out myself. I mean, I knew them. Yeah. It was layman's code because I personally can't code. So I created like a code that a developer would understand and I would understand. So anyways, that was super helpful there. But what about you, Patrick? How often are you using AI?
Right now.
I'm
having to put together everything for the wholesaling business, or at least organize it because I'm so all over the place. Hey, this is it. This is what I'm trying to do. These are all the softwares that I'm going to be using. How can I make them work cohesively to systemize the business? How can I use Zapier to integrate leads into this CRM and then put it on this campaign and do this and that? So I'm using it a lot for wholesaling, or at least getting everything set up.
Cool,
but for being an agent, not really at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's just some things you use it every day for, other things not so much. Hey, by the way, Kyle, before I start getting back into student housing, it's good to take a break. So that deal, sorry, I know you get so scared when I call on you. That deal that you're working on, do I need to call the agent?
No, she's messaging me right now.
Okay.
I forgot to check a box, so I gotta check a box real quick.
Jeez.
But it's out for signature. The sellers agreed with everything. They know that I'm a real person. My Facebook is good, surprisingly, because
And
it's definitely my personal
They
Facebook.
know you're wholesaling, right? You told them, hey, I'm wholesaling this?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Oh, and best part, she told me, because I've been so transparent and lovely, she's actually an investor herself. She fix and flips, but she will provide me all of the houses, is what she said.
Oh my God.
I
know her. She was super nice. We called her on one of the live streams. And again, I remember word for word, she was saying, oh yeah, I fix and flip homes, but this one, it's like, it's not a good deal. I was like, well, then why are you telling me it's a good deal?
Yeah, she did tell me today. She goes, every inch of this place will need to be fixed. But the only reason she didn't buy it was because it's in Dallas and she only invested in Fort Worth.
Now she's changing her pitch. Okay, be careful.
Yeah.
If it's
Max, was that the property with the random door that was like?
Yes, Kylie's finally locking it up. So I'll let Kylie talk. Kylie, tell everybody that you locked up the $106,000 deathly house for whatever numbers you can say, and feel free to.
It was listed for something else in the first place. It went down to 106 after I think your friend locked it up or something.
No, it was listed at 150. It had a $44,000 price drop. This guy reached out to me on Facebook. Okay, I have a friend, and my friend has a friend, and that friend reached out to me. It was like, "Yo, I got the house at 106. What will you buy it at?" And I was like, "Bruh, I won't even buy it at 106." And then I didn't hear back from him or his friend, so hopefully I didn't hurt their feelings. And then Kylie came in and sniped it for even cheaper.
Not bad.
Well, you're trying to go lower, but she played the hardball.
So, anyways, if Kylie falls out of escrow, then one of you can snipe it. We can just continue the cycle.
No. Kylie's not falling out of escrow. This is done. This is done. This is done. It's happening.
$5,000 EMD, insane.
Really, truthfully though, the only reason that I think that I got this deal was because of the constant follow-up. I literally messaged all the damn time, and that's what she told me. It was because my name kept popping up after all these other people. Mm-hmm.
I love it. Atta girl, Kylie. Oh, and again, guys, any of you could have gotten this deal. You've all touched this deal 100 times. I call it a Kardashian. Everybody's seen this deal and has touched this deal. I've touched it like way too many times, but I was too lazy to follow up. And it seems like maybe some of you followed up, but Kylie just followed up the most and built a really good rapport with the realtor, and that's why she got it. Now, again, so this one's not going to be a huge moneymaker, but the point of this one is, one, volume. Doing wholesaling is all about volume. You don't want to sit there and try to rip out the huge deals. You want to just keep getting deals on your belt, but more so, you wholesale one deal for a realtor. How many realtors have fallen out of escrow on this deal? Kylie, do you know? Not realtors. How many wholesalers?
Know of at least 4 that she mentioned.
Okay. You think she's going to send her next home to any of those 4 wholesalers? No. She's going to
They all lied to her.
Yeah. They all lied to her. Yeah. She's going to send it to Kylie and Chris if they're able to, get this deal, and if my team is able to sell it. So let's hope that.
Oh, I
hope my team sells it. So yeah, exactly, guys. So again, don't think about a deal as a dollar value. Think of it as just a door that's opened to way more opportunities down the line. And that's why I said in the pocket listing live stream we did the other day, when you find a good realtor, and this one seems to be like a 10 on 10 realtor. She's been a little difficult to work with, but she's been hurt. She's been through a few breakups, but she seems like a solid realtor. You want to make sure you do whatever you can to keep those realtors close, because they're going to feed you a ton of deals throughout your next 5-10 years as a wholesaler. Oh my God, Patrick, who's that?
This is Delilah.
Oh.
Can you say hi?
Hi, Delilah.
Can you say we're ready to invest? No, she said stranger danger.
That's awesome. I love that so much.
Her favorite thing to do is work with Daddy. She'll come in here and she'll just start beating the shit out of my keyboard. You want to help Daddy work? Okay, we'll talk about it.
I love this so much. I am only a dog dad. No kids anytime soon, hopefully. But that is amazing.
We can show everybody.
I'm so proud.
I need someone for Charlie. Hang on.
We're gonna bring a puppy in.
Anybody else here have any children, or we're just all dog and cat parents?
Mine are locked in a bedroom.
Mr. McCall has a child, it seems.
I got 4.
Cody, you have 4?
I got
4 and 2 dogs.
Jeez, Cody's got a whole family.
Oh yeah.
I love this. Oh, that is such a cute dog. Bring that dog on Friday to the office.
Stop it. Look at the screen. Say hello. It's Charlie Brown.
Soup, what are you looking at?
Oh my god. Like you haven't seen me ever?
I love this. Guys, by the way, on just a side note before we just jump back into the live stream. So all of you who are interested in working with my close friend Jeremy, AI Buck, you guys are all signed up. Is there anything else I need to do for y'all? Are you guys all in the new group chat with Jeremy? Do you have any questions for me about what's going on there? I know it was last minute, but I think it's an awesome opportunity.
What is it about?
I did have a question because I'm actually going through the lead sheet that you provided. I'm on the 3rd page and I noticed that the bottom section is like highlighted blue. Is that color coded for any reason?
No, you're good. So before my company pulled $50,000 worth of like numbers, and I've just been sending those over to Jeremy, and without the expectation he was going to share them with other people. So don't mind the color coding, but I'm going to give you guys more numbers. So Jeremy's been calling a lot of these numbers with his AI systems. So yeah, just to give you guys a better idea of what's going on for you, Kylie and Chris, because you guys weren't too much in the know. I have an amazing friend named Jeremy, and he uses very complicated AI systems for wholesaling. He's based out of Massachusetts. I always get the 2 states confused. I'm a dumb Southern boy, and he. So it's really interesting. So I don't know if you guys heard of Pace Morby and Jamil Donji's Astro Blaster. It's mostly under Jamil, but Pace is a sponsor of it. Really cool system. It's a text blaster that uses AI through Go High Level CRM. So Go High Level is going to be your back end CRM, and Astro Blaster is your front end. And it's really currently made for pocket listings with realtors or just future deals for realtors. But it will get larger and more complicated. Not affiliated at all. If you guys want to sign up, awesome. Tell me how it is. But anyways, it's just it just continuously detects realtors and follows up with them to get future deals. Now, what Jeremy has explained to me, and I'm going to let Jeremy do a whole masterclass on AI wholesaling, which is going to be awesome. That's going to be one of the next. I know Patrick is interested. I said that if Patrick's eyes peaked. But anyways, one of the issues with just texting with AI is that if you do too many texts and you don't get enough people to opt in, they'll just cancel your phone numbers. So what Jeremy has taught me is what's really effective is to tie in a phone calling AI system as well that like pre-screens people and then puts them into the text message AI system campaign. It's all very complicated stuff. But long story short, that's what Jeremy's a master at. And he we give him a lot of leads, and he does acquisitions for us and then sends us leads, and then we'll sell his deals because he doesn't have a dispo company. He's only direct to seller acquisitions. And what an incredible opportunity is that I and Jeremy are trying to set up for y'all is that what is better than a cold lead, a warm lead, right? And you guys have called realtors, done a lot of on market. You guys have done some off market, right? Just calling cold, right? And I think you guys should do more of that to get the experience. But where I want to get this is that Jeremy generates a ton of warm leads through his AI systems, and how the AI works is super badass. So imagine it's calling phone numbers. right? And it's calling. It's like, hi, it actually really sounds good on the phone. It's like, hi, you interested? Yes. And the AI will schedule a follow-up call, and it will take all the notes and put it into the CRM. And then eventually I want you guys to join Jeremy's team if you guys are interested. And then you guys can jump on those follow-up calls and close the deals. So you guys can go from just, doing initial outreach to eventually closing deals. And you guys will just be like, hi, I've noticed that you're interested in selling your property. I have all your information here. You requested 280,000. However, I ran my numbers and the most we can do is 250,000 cash. Are you open to that? Right? You guys are going to be closers. And I think it's going to be an awesome opportunity. So that's what I'm trying to set up for Jeremy for you guys.
That sounds dope because I've actually trained and studied to be remote closer. So
perfect. Right.
I would looking forward to that.
Awesome.
I want to learn how to close myself.
Well, good. So what Jeremy's doing again, I'm letting him run his own thing because I have my own company and I can't keep up. So, if you guys love Jeremy opportunity, keep with it. If you guys don't want to do it, that's totally fine too. Just trying to extend as many opportunities as possible. But, Jeremy is just going to see you he obviously can't take everybody onto his team. So he just wants to teach you guys about wholesaling, get you guys reaching your KPIs and your metrics. And if you guys perform well, then he'll probably have you start closing. So really cool opportunity. Jeremy's a great guy. So anyways, that's that. Just wanted to brief you guys. And sorry, YouTube and Facebook, if that bored you. But anyways, in this Discord, we give you unlimited opportunities and we charge you 0 because I'm not in the business of charging for courses. Maybe not yet. Maybe one day in the future. If I notice a tornado smacks my house and I need the money, I may change my mind. But for now, everything is obviously free in this Discord. So anyways, where were we at with the student housing? Anyone have any follow-up questions I can answer before I jump back in? Or just rent by room in general? Here, I'll brief you guys real quick. You guys found a deal. I don't care whether it's a subject to deal, a seller finance deal, or you just found a super cheap house that you're going to buy cash, you're going to get a private money loan on, you're going to get a typical mortgage. I don't care. If you notice that this house is in a good neighborhood, not A-class neighborhood, not like country club, at NIMBY neighborhood. No. I'm talking a good, decent neighborhood. You don't want people getting shot in that neighborhood, right? Then it's a long-term rental, or it's Section 8. I don't know. It's real estate that I personally wouldn't buy. I like location, but it's a good neighborhood, and maybe it's next to something that would cause people to want to live there. It's located close to downtown. It's located next to a school. It's something. Then you can just run the numbers and see the possibility of it being a possible rent by room situation. You notice that it's 1,500 square feet minimum, preferably 2,000 square feet plus, and maybe there's 2 bathrooms. 2.5 bathrooms is a lot better than 2 bathrooms because you can convert that half bathroom usually to a full bathroom. So me personally, I'll look for homes that are 2,000 square feet plus and 2.5 bathrooms plus. And then you guys say, okay, how much rent can I get as an LTR? Not an LTR, well, LTR. And you compare that to how much rent can I get if I rent it out per bedroom, and how many bedrooms can I squeeze into this property? Dining rooms, immediate bedroom. No one needs a dining room anymore. You have a kitchen nook for eating, and you have a kitchen. A living room, I keep them in my properties, but you can turn a living room into 2 bedrooms. Super easy. Just run a wall through it. Garage, a little bit more money. You can convert that to 2 bedrooms. And then, guys, just run your numbers and see. That's really what it comes down to. And I think on average, you should be able to get 50 to 100% more in rent. Now, you're going to have 50 to 100% more in aggravation, so you got to just weigh the costs of each. And that's why I just love this model so much. Properties tend now to bleed money, not cash flow, unless you're buying with 8% interest rates. Nothing cash flows. I mean, we can be. I don't care where you are. Nothing's cash flowing. If you're in the Appalachian Mountains, and your neighbors are making moonshine, maybe you'll find a property that breaks even, but it still probably doesn't cash flow if you're doing an LTR. And that's why all these people do rental arbitrage, traveling nurse housing, crash pads, Airbnbs, and they do all this fancy stuff. And that's great, but I feel like that stuff's not that it's a fad, but that it's a lot riskier. And, if you want to cash flow, you can cash flow with your long-term rental by either doing sub 2 and seller finance. But even then, you're probably breaking even. So if you really want to cash flow with your 3% mortgage or 4% mortgage, consider renting by a room. And then you can get that cash flow. It depends on you as an investor. If you personally don't need cash flow and all you're trying to do is build up equity, then the rent by room model is not for you. If you're somebody who wants cash flow, then rent by room model is amazing. So it just depends on you as a person and your finances. And I think this really gets into the personal, subject of like, your finances and your situation. Right now, like me, I guess I used to never have a job, right? I used to tell people I'm somewhere between unemployed and retired because I've never had a real job. I've always just been starting companies. Most of them end up failing. Some of them end up working, then I would exit them. And I desperately had to have the cash flow for my properties or else I'd be homeless, right? So thank God for the cash flow for my properties. I literally live off of it and I would budget accordingly. I'm like, okay, my properties are producing $40,000 a year in cash flow. That means that my budget is $40,000 a year, and it would change, depending on my finances and my schedule. But some of you may have a great, 9 to 5, or some of you, may have passive income from some other sort of venture, and you guys don't really need cash flow. And your long-term goal is to be more like Pace Morby and build a $100 million, billion-dollar portfolio. Well, then maybe you don't need to do the student housing model and the aggravation's not there for you. The time spent to turn a property into a cash flowing rent by room and the aggravation of the added tenants and the added problems could be spent acquiring 3 or 4 or 5 more sub 2 long-term rentals that will eventually be worth 1, 2, 3 million. Okay, I'll just do that, right? So it depends really on you, and that comes down to the personal question. If you're trying to replace your 9 to 5, I'm so excited we're thinking about this. Guys, there's a huge misunderstanding in real estate. People will be like, I want to get into real estate. I want to be a real estate investor. I want to replace my 9 to 5. Awesome. It's not going to happen for a decade. You're not going to find a house, rent it out, and then cash flow enough to replace your 9 to 5. I mean, we can all be honest. In today's environment, you probably need to make 6 figures to live comfortably. Again, other than if you're in the Appalachian Mountains. And, to make 6 figures in cash flow in real estate, that's insane. Long-term rental wise, I mean, we're talking, like, I don't know how many long-term rentals, right? Like at least 50, right? Right. So or you need time on your side, right? Or you need to buy a multifamily, right? It just does not happen. So people who are like, I want to replace my 9 to 5 and be a real estate investor, no, unless you try to get creative with it and you get rent by room, or you get a really successful Airbnb and you're one of the 1%, or you find something that's different. But it's impossible, really. Not really. It's for a fact. It is impossible in the short term. It's hard to say what a short term is, but I would say 5 years, potentially even 10, to replace your 9 to 5 and be as a real estate investor by buying properties and doing long-term rentals. I would say in the next 10 years, that's pretty much not possible. But looking 20, 30, 40 years out, well, absolutely. But then you're old and you're wrinkly, right? And you don't want to be old and wrinkly. So anyways, that's just a huge misunderstanding. Now, I'm not saying don't.
Fastest way to do it is inheritance.
What's up?
Fastest way to do it is inheritance.
Yeah. Yeah, just have some rich parents. So yeah, again, it just really depends on your guys' goal, right? If you're just trying to build huge wealth for the long term, then yeah, acquiring as many long-term rentals as possible and sitting on those for a decade or two, you will be, without a doubt, a multimillionaire. It's just a matter of time. But you're not going to be able to retire in the short term off of it. And that's why I love wholesaling, right? Because wholesaling is your fast cash in between the long-term rentals. And that's why I think what we do is so important. You find the deal, you take it down as let's just say you want to take deals down as LTRs, right? You don't want to do rent by rooms. You don't want to do all those stuff. That's totally fine. Me personally, I sort of want more LTRs in my portfolio because really, the rent by rooms are time consuming, and they have to be a fit as very specific buy box. So I don't want to pass on these good deals on these LTRs. I'll acquire more LTRs, but the deals that just don't work for me, I want to wholesale them, and I want to make 10, 20, 30 grand on a wholesale deal. And then with that money, that's what I can replace my 9 to 5 with, not the rent from the long-term rentals. Anyways, hopefully that was a helpful tidbit. It's just a big misunderstanding in our industry.
Question.
Yeah.
As we are looking to do student housing, what's the recommended amount you want to have set aside for anything to go wrong? When you first start out.
Such a good question. Is the house turnkey, or has it been newly rehabbed, or are you going to rehab it? Hey, Patrick likes my counter question. I love it.
That's a conversation I have with all the investors that I pick up that are long-term rentals. What are we looking at? Are you looking for something you can do a little add value to, do some renovations, or is it turnkey? Because if it's not turnkey, I do 5% for maintenance, 5% for vacancy, which is really conservative.
Yeah.
And then 10% for property management. And if it's turnkey, a lot of investors put money aside for capital expenditures, which is your roof, HVAC, water heater, crawl space, your big ticket items. But if all those are brand new, then you got 15 to 20 years, depending on how it's maintained, before you have to start replacing those. So by that time, your rents have increased, or maybe you've already exited by then. I don't worry about CapEx too much at that point.
Patrick,
sorry,
you're dropping absolute gold. Go into more detail, because what you said is so smart. So go into more detail on the 5% and the actual numbers. That's awesome.
Yeah, and that's a kind of cutting back to what Max was just saying. That's a big reason why it's harder to find cash flow for long-term rentals, and he's talking about life-changing cash flow. You're lucky if you get $250 a month. You're like, holy shit, this is a home run. And that's including 15% down with a DSCR, if not more. But yeah, if you're walking a house and you're looking and you got old composition shingles, the HVAC is maybe 2010, so it's still kicking, but it could go out at any minute. The water heater is older. You're looking at putting 10% aside for your, maintenance or CapEx.
And when you say 10%, 10% of what, Patrick?
10% of your rent, right? So if it's $1,800, then you're putting $180 aside. So you got to think, you're looking at a $185,000 property. In Fayetteville, taxes aren't super expensive, so you're probably looking at $1,500 a month mortgage, right? If market rent's $1,800, 10% for property management, 10% for vacancy, 10% for CapEx. There's all your cash flow right there. You're probably paying $50 a month to maintain this rental. So that's without any money down. So it just gets tight really quickly. So I'd say it's subjective and base it off the property. Don't say, hey, I'm going to look at every property with these operating expenses. It's okay, this property has 30-year architectural shingles. I got 20 years before I have to replace the roof, and if something goes wrong before then, insurance will cover it. Water heater is 2019. Shelf life is 10 years if it's maintained correctly. Water heater is a 2018. I probably got 10 years on that too. Then, hey, let's not worry about CapEx. Let's still put 5% aside for maintenance. And that will help with cash flow as well. So that's kind of how I look at it. It's subjective.
Dropping absolute gold. And that's another. And when I was saying it's impossible to cash flow as a long-term rental right now, more or less, even with the super low rate sub 2, what I'm saying is, yeah, sure, maybe you're making $200 in cash flow, but I'm telling you, you're not. Run your numbers over 12, 24 months, and you're probably losing money between vacancies. And again, vacancies is what will make you go bankrupt. You're $200 a month in cash flow, and you're doing a $3,000 rental. You have 1 month of vacancy, and now you're negative for the year, right? And that's not including the problems that's going to go wrong with the house, and there's always problems. And then property management, all these things.
Even if you can get a property to cash flow $250 a month, don't even touch that money. There's no sense.
Yes.
$250 is a car payment, and it's going
It's not a car payment.
I have some investors.
That is not a car. I don't know what car you're looking at anymore.
Right.
What car are you looking at?
Yeah, neither one of mine are $250. I got a $370 and a $500 car payment.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that's still
it's nothing that I got. But even then, you just look at it like a second bank account.
I love that.
You know, just let it sit, and in 2-3 years, you'll reap the benefits. You can 1031 tax, do a tax exchange form, and then throw it into something else and increase your cash flow. And it's just long-term plays.
This is more mindset stuff. Real quick, Patrick, is more mindset stuff. But to say what Patrick is doing is set up a separate bank account for your properties, or maybe each property, and put your cash flow in there. Don't mix it with your personal finances and act like that money doesn't exist, and don't live off of that cash flow like I'm personally doing with my properties or different situations. Stick all that cash flow into the bank. Sure, at the end of the year, you may have $3,000 in there. I'm telling you, 12 months later, you'll probably have $0 in there because something happened with the house. And now you don't feel so bad when the AC goes out or when something happens, you pull it from that savings account. So it's something y'all should absolutely do when you're starting in real estate. Go ahead, Patrick, with your question. Oh, not Patrick. I said go ahead, Chris, with your question.
So to tag along with what you guys are saying, to me, it sounds like you guys are almost doing LTRs or MTRs for just paying off the house. So you have a long-term exit strategy of a paid off house, basically, is what it sounds like. Is this correct?
That and the appreciation.
You can do it that way.
Yeah, but yeah.
Like you said, it's independent investment philosophy. If your philosophy, because extra principal payments you can pay down your mortgage so much quicker. If I had an amortization table in front of me right now, I could show you if your monthly payment is, let's just use easy numbers. Let's just say it's $1,500 a month, principal and interest. $1,000 is going to interest. $500 is going to your principal. If you look at your schedule for each payment, you got 360 payments over 30 years. If you win a scratch-off ticket, you won $2,000, and you say, hey, babe, let's not go on vacation. Let's put this towards the principal. You jump down $2,000 into your amortization schedule, and now each payment is working X amount dollars harder for you. So if $500 is going towards principal at payment 360, putting $2,000 down jumps you to payment, let's just say, 340. The amount of money that's going towards the principal is more. So therefore, your money is working harder for you to pay off that principal. Now, I'm not saying that it's a good idea, but I do know investors who do that in particular.
Yeah.
Maybe they're getting I had one dude last year who bought a manufactured home, and initially we thought it was going to be 15% down, but it ended up being 30% down. And so his cash flow was a lot more. And so he's cash flowing like $800 a month, which is really good. And he's wrapping that $800 back into the principal, and he's going to pay it off like, I can't remember. It was like 15 years faster, maybe more.
Yeah.
I don't recall, but just because that money works harder for you. Like I said, not saying it's a good idea, but it depends on your investment philosophy.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
I love that, Patrick. You nailed it. It's not that it's a good idea. It's not that it's a bad idea. It just depends on you personally. Me personally, I hate that idea, right? I want as much good, cheap debt as possible, just more like a Pace Morby. But if you're a little bit more in the Dave Ramsey camp, you want as little debt as possible. So it's just a different philosophy, and you as a real estate investor will develop your own philosophy the more you do it. But jumping off of your question, Chris, long-term rentals to me are not a cash flow play. Especially, and again, I'm jaded because I live here in Texas, where Texas taxes get reassessed yearly and go up yearly, so that the amount of rent increase you're going to get is pretty much offset by the amount of taxes that go up every year. So you're never actually winning. Your state may be different. If you're in California, you got like proposition, whatever, that keeps you afloat. It depends on your area. But yeah, to me personally, long-term rentals, you just buy them. You don't expect them to really make you cash flow, but they're going to, be paid off eventually, but more importantly, they're going to appreciate. And real estate is only going to keep going up the more the government keeps printing money. And that's a fact. They're just going to keep printing money. So it's an inflation hedge. It's an everything hedge. So yeah,
I have a diagram I can put out in the chat, but it's Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac's study of how real estate has performed over the last 82 years.
Yeah.
Real estate has been negative a total of 7 years out of 82.
Crazy.
So,
damn.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just hold.
Yeah,
Just
hold.
hold on for dear life.
Just hold.
Yeah.
Just hold. And that's why I say you don't want to get yourself in a situation where you have these weird, complex exit strategies that when shit hits the fan and times actually get tough, you're not able to actually hold through it because your vacancies have gone through the roof, whether that's an Airbnb or whatever your situation is, or it's just a luxury long-term rental, right? Or maybe you have a long-term rental in a really nice neighborhood that's super nice, and your clientele is very wealthy. Well, times have changed, things have gone bad, and now you're not able to rent it, right? So the whole point of really this talk is affordable will make you rich, luxury may make you poor, and if you specialize in luxury, well, that's awesome. But for the average person, I think specialize in affordability because that market's never going to disappear from you. But yeah, no, it's great.
That's a super hot fad right now too.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just me, but I'm seeing a lot of investors on my Facebook go into tiny houses. I've seen like probably 4 or 5 subdivisions going up of tiny houses. Affordability, I feel like Max is on the right track. I feel like affordability is going to be the future as inflation continues to go up, and we don't know what's going to happen in the coming years. You always have these people talking about, we're going to go through another depression and this, that, and the third. And these affordable housing is probably a better hedge against inflation and probably more recession-proof as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. That's something again, I like to invest where there's certainties, and although there's no actual certainties in the world, you have probabilities that become very certain. And I can just tell you the affordable housing trend and just having affordable rents, I am 99% sure that market's only going to become more in demand, whereas I cannot be sure that high end is going to be more in demand in the future. It's an unknown. And I don't like to invest where there's unknowns. I want to invest where the probabilities are on my side. And I learned that investing in stocks, investing in crypto, investing in all the past things I've invested in, investing in startups. That's something I'll talk to you old guys about. I have a lot of different investments. What? Oh, yeah. I have a lot of different investments outside of just real estate. You guys know me for real estate, but I've been around in all these different worlds. And all I can say is invest where the probabilities are on your side for the long term. And don't get caught up in the trends. Don't get caught up
trying to catch the wave.
Exactly. Exactly. So, what other questions are coming to mind, guys?
Well, we don't have a question, but Allie might have something that you want to see.
Sure.
It seems so fancy, and it's not that fancy. Oh, well, I got the contract signed. I don't know if you guys can see it.
Let it focus.
Oh, she signed it?
Maybe. Hang on.
Why can't it see anything?
Well, just because it. Stop. Right?
This one sucks.
Oh wait, just hold it there. Hold it there for a while. Hold it there. Hold it there. Let me go full screen. It says, "Congratulations, all parties have signed this document, and it is now complete. To view your completed documents, hey, use the link above or whatever it says. Congratulations, guys! So you officially are the equitable interest owner in a I don't know. So what do you guys? You got it for a $90,000 2 front door frame house in the ghetto.
Pretty much.
So Kylie, when I gave you the advice to try wholesaling, a little bit more higher end, because that's where I say you can make more money with less hassle. You took my advice and threw that out the window, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I worked on
it
before. Literally the next day, all I did was look at like really expensive houses.
I didn't.
And I thought
you sent me a property. I didn't mean like 2 million or whatever that I meant like 300,000-400,000. Not. You really went from one end of the extreme to the other end of the extreme. 90,000 to like 9 million. You sent me a home in the best location in Richardson. I love it. But yeah, we'll look at that deal. Yeah, I mean, I can try to run some comps on here. It's going to be a little bit difficult for my car, but we can try.
Yeah, she's like, she was really
short.
To be completely honest, I don't think that they like the offer that they accepted, because she was pretty like, what's that word? She was like, just submit it now and text me when you do so I can look at it.
Okay.
Like,
then we can try to run those numbers. I will try to. I don't have multiple screens. It's gonna be really tough. But I can.
She seemed dismissive. That's the word.
No, kind of more like we need a better offer, so hurry up and send it to me, kind of thing. It was also kind of rude.
Interesting.
Okay, so who do I send this contract to? Do I send it to you? Do I send it to Skylar?
Up to you. I think Skylar and I are gonna take this one down up at the team.
Okay.
But yeah, you send it to whoever you want.
Okay. I hate this choosing game between multiple.
I'm still waiting for Skylar to get back to me. So
Hey, if Skylar's not getting back to you, I will call him right now and yell at him.
I already told Chris. I said you have to call Skylar. He's really busy. You can't text him.
is he a realtor yet? Goodness.
He will be soon.
He said he's like really close. That's what he told us. He's like, just right there. I'm like, keep grinding, man. You're almost there.
Some people have a harder time with the test than others. I failed only once. I got it on the second try. But no, yeah. Let's get this deal on the Salesforce. So yeah, just so you guys know our process. So a little look inside what it's like to be a dispo company. So we have amazing wholesalers and realtors that will send us deals. And let's say that they lock up a deal under contract, like Kylie, and they're like, "Hey, I got this contract." Now you may think, "Oh, it's so easy. Just go and sell the deal," right? But there's a lot of steps to it, and that's why dispo. That's why it's a JV at the end of the day, right? It is a partnership. So, we'll get the deal. We will run comps, and we're going to, make sure that all your guys' numbers are correct. And if they're not correct, we'll ask for like a price negotiation, explain to you why those numbers aren't right. We're running after repair value. We're rerunning the repairs. We're going through all that stuff. And then let's say now we get a deal under contract and everything looks good numbers-wise. We're going to create a pretty little packet. So we're going to pull the tax rolls. We're going to pull a CMA, comparable market analysis, whatever. We're going to comp the property versus other homes, and we're going to create a nice little packet for our buyers. Then we're going to update all the information in the Salesforce. You may use a different CRM. We use Salesforce. And then we either will do like a first come, first serve on a property, or some properties we'll do actual showings on. So we'll actually have a showing, and we'll have buyers come and meet the property and do like a legit bidding war. It's freaking awesome. And we'll have like a bidding war going on at the houses. It's a great time. And that's how we're able to get top dollar for you guys and buy your homes at higher prices. But yeah, then we'll get in the Salesforce, and then we'll get all the information going. And then we have currently 8 sales agents full time. And then once it hits Salesforce, it's like madman. Everybody starts hitting the phone and calling older buyers, blasting it on their email. We don't put deals on Investors Lift or Facebook. If you guys don't know what Investor Lift is, actually, Pace Moore, we just did an interview with the Investor Lift guy. I'm going to go watch that. But Investor Lift's really cool. It's just, imagine like MLS for wholesalers for off-market deals. Personally, we don't put our properties on there. You'll get a lot of people who will advertise like, "Hey, dispo with me. I'll put your deals on Investor Lift." It's supposed to be a flex because Investor Lift is expensive as hell. I guess expensive as hell is relative, but it can cost a few $1,000s. And I guess it's good. Don't get me wrong, but really your best buyers are not going to come off of Investor Lift or MLS or whatever. They're going to come from actual relationships, just like those best realtor deals that we're talking about. So at least personally, the most luck that we've had is to actually have personal relationship with our buyers, meet them in person, take them out to lunch, show them the properties, walk the properties with them. It's a lot more work than just putting something on Investor Lift. I mean, we could do that. It's not a matter of cost. I mean, we'll pay the cost. It's just, to me, it's usually the lazier approach, and it yields not as good as results on the sales side. And then you'll also get people who will daisy chain your deals if you put them on Investor Lift, which is so annoying. So anyways, so that's sort of like what it is for us. And then, we'll usually have like a 3-day option, and we'll sell most of the deals that come through. So Kylie's deal, that's going to be the process tomorrow. And we'll probably announce it in the morning meeting, and the team will start hitting the phones and getting ready for a showing. So is it currently vacant? Right? No one's living in that. Okay. So then we're probably just going to do like a easy first come, first serve. So whoever puts a bid in for the number that works for us, that's it.
Hey Max, with that property, the Kardashian one, because it was a duplex at one point, shouldn't it actually be plumbed for 2 bathrooms?
Such a
Like,
great
right?
question. You are absolutely correct. There's no
The
way.
agent said no. Well, I'm just saying, the agent did say no.
But it was a duplex. It has to have a bathroom.
Was it
So the
actually a
plumbing
duplex though, or was it just?
Why would there be 2 front doors? That's where because I was going to say, if it was a duplex, the underflooring plumbing should be there for the buyer side, right? So you could possibly.
You are 100% correct, but I think you're forgetting that crackheads do crackhead things. So maybe whoever lived there just wanted 2 front doors and was doing just rent. I don't know. Maybe they just had a bedroom with no bathroom where you're just going outside. I have no idea.
Yeah, if I recall correctly, the first time we called that house, it was not a duplex. She was quite clear that it was never a duplex. It just has this weird front door scenario going on.
The buyers are investors and they know nothing about the property. They've never been on it. They don't know anything about it.
How long has it been vacant for? Just a long time?
I don't know.
Huh, interesting.
To be completely honest, I don't know.
Okay. All right. All right. So, okay, guys. Everyone's bringing their family out.
So, are you going to look at the camera? Oh, she's so shy.
Yeah,
Are you going to say hi?
She's looking at tornadoes in Texas.
Completely ignoring me.
These tornadoes are awful. Hopefully the power
Horse to turn.
Guys, I'm so sorry again about the live stream. We're going to do a full masterclass another time. Hopefully this was a good, just high-level overview. So just so y'all know how this is going to work going forward, every Tuesday we're going to have a legit masterclass where I'm going to bring on an expert in a certain field. So like next week, Cody's going to teach you guys literally everything you need to know about wraps. I'm having a guy come on who's like a master in pad splits. I'm having someone come on who's a master in skip tracing. And every single week, I'm going to provide you guys literally master classes on Tuesdays. And then Thursday, it's just going to be a lot more chill live stream where I'm available to answer your questions, more like today. Today was supposed to be a master class from the master himself in student housing. But that tornado said no. But next week, Tuesday, we're going to have Cody do a masterclass on wraps, which I'm super excited about. And if you guys have a topic you guys want a full masterclass on, you guys just let me know what that is. Tony will probably do sub-2 pre-foreclosures. And we'll have an expert in all our fields just do something. So you guys just tell me which topics you want to hear. But, while we're still having a high-level overview of student housing, is there any questions I can answer, or anything I didn't cover? I mean, there's actually so much I didn't cover. I mean, you need like a 10-hour masterclass on this. So we barely talked about finding students. Guys, so one thing that's super important, I just want to make sure I hit on all these. Most student housing is not 12-month leases. A lot of these students aren't at school in summer months. So I've seen different people do different things.
6 and 9.
Especially, yeah, they do like 9-month lease. I know one person who's successful at doing 9-month leases and then doing Airbnbs in the summer, but he has very high-end student housing. And that's another thing you'll learn. There's some colleges where you have all these preppy kids who play like polo and like, have a ton of daddy's money. Like they want a really nice student house. And if it's like not high-end, like hardwood floors and like a really pretty kitchen, like they won't live there. So it's like, that's not my world, right? So that's like not affordable student housing. But anyways, he's able to turn those into Airbnbs in the summer, which works, but then you have to furnish the bedrooms and furnish all the common areas. So there's a lot of stipulations. What I've noticed for me is 12-month leases. And I give the students the option to sublet in the summer. Now, it works beautiful. So if you guys walk away with one tip, this is such a good tip. Hey, everyone. Hi, family. This tip works magical. You tell a student, hey, it's a 12-month lease. Oh, but I'm only going to, I'm not going to be here in the summer. Totally fine. Well, I'm giving you the full option to sublet it in the summer, meaning, you go find someone else to take your room. That's a good candidate, and they can take over your lease. And like, oh, so I don't have to pay anything? No, not if you find someone to sublet, and I'll help you. Well, what happens? College kids are lazy. And their parents are the ones paying the rent, which is another thing we got to talk about. Their parents are the ones co-signing on the rents and guaranteeing the rent, so the rent's always paid. Anyways, come summer, I didn't reach out to anyone to sublet. Can I cancel my lease? No, it's right here in the lease. You can't cancel. You're allowed to sublet though. Oh, well, I don't really feel like going through the aggravation of finding someone, so I'm just going to pay for the next few months. My parents are paying anyways. Sounds good to me. And I've never had a problem with that. So usually about 10% of the time will someone actually go through the work and sublet it. The other 90% of the time, the tenants just get lazy and end up paying the 3 months of summer. And that way I have 0 vacancies. So that's a secret hack that y'all can implement. Students think that by the end of the year that they'll actually go through the work and sublet it, but finals come up and they're lazy and they don't do it. So you, the landlord, get 12 months of rent.
Question.
Yes.
So while we're talking about the leasing, have you or considered even doing like a 6 month with a month to month after that?
No. So great question. I refuse to do that. So actually one of my tenants, I need to do a 6 month on, but it's actually not 6 months. It's going to be like 4.5 months. I'm having him end December like 30th. And the reason is the last thing you want is for your leases to end during a semester. It needs to be right before the semester starts, because that's when all of your students need to find a place. So preferably summer is when most of your students are looking for housing accommodations, but sometimes before the winter, before the spring semester. So never just do an arbitrary 6 month lease or 12-month lease. Have it end before the next school year starts or school semester starts. And never allow month to month, because if they end up deciding to leave in 3 months because they failed their classes and are dropping out of school, now you're left holding the bag.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. It's you have to think. There's so many little stipulations you have to think about for student housing.
Yeah.
And you guys are going to mess up, and everyone here is going to mess up year 1, but then year 2, you're never going to make that mistake again.
You got no mistakes, the mistakes to fix them.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God,
Yeah.
I made so many mistakes. Don't include utilities with rent. I thought that was a smart at first, because it's like, well, no, there's 5 tenants. How am I going to break up utilities? Guys, it's so simple. You, the landlord, pay the utilities on your credit card and go get a credit card that has 5% cash back on electricity like me. Insane. And then pay the utilities yourself. And then at the end of the month, bill the tenants in arrear for last month's utility with current rent, and take utilities divided by 4, 5, or 6 evenly. So if I paid utilities are $600 and I have 6 tenants, let's say it's July 1st. They're paying for all of July's rent. Well, for the month of June, I am going to charge them the utilities on July 1st, and I'm going to charge them $100 each, because utilities end up being $600. Utilities include water, gas, trash, electricity, and internet. I personally will pay the gardener. That's how I have things set up. It works great. Now, here is how I learned that the hard way. Hey, tenants, all of you guys are going to pay for I'm going to pay for all your guys' utilities myself, blah, blah, blah. Well, then they just start, taking 42-minute showers. They turn all the lights on. I would go in the house and the AC would be like freezing, literally freezing in the houses. Like it just does not make sense. So you want them to pay for utilities themselves. And it teaches them a little bit of life lessons too. They're like, why are utilities so expensive? I'm like, yeah, welcome to the real world. That's what life's like. Then there's sometimes a little bit of internal fight. So that's why my leases are so bulletproof. It's like, well, hey, we're paying for utilities. I don't want to water the grass. Well, too bad. It's in the lease. Landlord has all rights over watering grass. You don't. So there's a lot of stipulations you learn the hard way. So anyways, that's a hard learning lesson. Another one is furnish the common areas. And I personally don't furnish the bedrooms, but I offer a furniture package for extra, like $50 a month. Depends on your school though. Some schools will call for furnished bedrooms. A lot of tenants will come with their own stuff and they don't want a furnished bedroom. Well, now you already have a furnished bedroom, so what do you do with all the shit? Right? So it's just like I only do it if asked. But yeah, common areas should all be furnished, meaning living room if you have a living room, dining room if you have a dining room. Don't recommend having a dining room. That's a perfectly good bedroom. You wall off both sides, soundproof insulation, and done. And you add a door. Now or if it doesn't, or if it didn't have a door, it already has a window. You can add a closet. Some states say that an armoire is considered a closet. Some states say that you need an actual closet. Look at the square footage. For a bedroom, at least in Texas, from my understanding, needs to be 70 square feet, but it really depends. There's a lot of laws that go into it. So just make sure that you're meeting code and you're not renting like 30 square feet bedrooms to students. This is not New York City where you can like rent a closet. It really depends on your state. But anyways, pretty much when it comes to furnishing, you gotta like buy a couch, gotta buy like a dining room, not a dining room. I mean like a table for either the dining room or the kitchen nook. You don't need much. Yeah, I mean, you really don't need much. I put TVs in the houses. TVs are like $200-$300 now. It's a nice plus to have. It doesn't cost much. I'd put TVs in there. Yeah, you don't need much. Honestly, you can probably furnish the house for $1,000. So easy.
When prepping your house for students, is there a way to obtain this info from the college on what they require of the housing?
Yeah, you can talk to your colleges. Some of them are helpful, some of them are not. But try to talk to the housing department and say that, hey, you're an investor with off-campus housing and you would like to learn more, or you'd like to get connected with somebody. Sometimes they're just like, go F yourself. Other times they're like, oh my God, that's so great, we're in desperate need for housing. Yeah, well, what can we do for you, right? So it just depends on the school. But a lot of this is just going to come from your own internal research. And again, your research is it a commuter college? And how many foreign versus like local students are there? And how much of a demand is there for housing or not? And that's a lot of it. That's just sentiment based and asking questions. I mean, as dumb as it sounds, like obviously go on all the forums and see how many people are posting about, hey, I'm looking for housing, or how many people are saying, hey, I have housing. But also, I like to physically be present and walk. Something I used to do when I invested heavily in stocks was like literally go to the stores that I invested in, like go to like the Targets and the Walmarts and see the data myself. It's the same thing with colleges. I want to go to those schools and like ask students, be like, hey, how much are you paying for housing? Just curious. And then they're going to be like, oh, I pay this much. I'm like, oh, super cool. Ask 10, 20 people. Be like, hey, like, where do you live? But not in a creepy way, right? Be like, just ask them those questions. Be like, hi, so, are you looking for housing? Is it hard to find housing at UTD? And if they think you're creepy, like me personally, I look like a college kid still. I can get away with it. But if you're a little bit on the older side, just be like, hi, I have a student that really wants to go to this school, and I'm just, a worried parent. How much should I put aside for rent every single month for my student? Or, just questions like that. Is it hard to find housing for my, not for my student, I mean, for my kid, right? Those are the questions. So in-person research is the most effective. So hopefully that helped. Yeah, guys, this stuff is awesome. Hopefully you can get started with the student rentals.
Yeah, I'm sure we're missing a lot, because the questions just keep rolling like later as we go. I'm like, well, what about this? What about that? But
yeah, no, they'll come. At the end of the day, the most important thing is finding a good deal, right? So in today's market, I would let the deal decide my exit strategy rather than my exit strategy force my deal. Back when I was buying my homes, I could say, I want this house for student housing, and I would pay a premium for it because it fit my student housing method. Today's real estate, where interest rates are high or prices are high, I sort of let the deal dictate the exit strategy. It's a good deal. It works for this, right? So the most important thing is just finding a good deal. But yeah, if you can come across a good sub-2 or seller finance deal near a college, student housing should be your first thought.
Okay. Cool.
Absolutely, guys. Does anyone else have any questions in the chat before we jump off? And again, I appreciate you guys sticking through this crazy live stream from the car.
Yeah, it's realistic.
It is realistic, and Soup is so tired.
He's out.
Soon as out, he's like, "Oh my God, Dad's talking about student housing again."
100th time now.
100th time today.
He knows better than we do.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, Shanks, Akash, Maria, Maurice, y'all don't have any questions on the rental life? You guys just want to wholesale some properties, don't you? You guys just want to get some deals under your belt. Okay. Well, let's shoot that contract over, Kylie. Let's get that.
Already did.
All right. Did Skylar send you the assignment agreement?
Not yet.
All right. He has it written up, ready to go. Yeah. Let's get it sold. It's going to be a tough one to sell. Yeah. So the objections is going to be, hey, it's listed on the market for 106. Why would I buy it from you guys for whatever we're going to try to sell it for? That's always a fun one to argue with.
Well, hopefully we can use the good comps that you found and
I gotta go
really
back.
prove a point.
I gotta go back home if my power's on and look at those comps again. I think your superhero comp, guys. So when it comes to wholesaling and deals, you as the dispo person are cherry picking the best comps to show like, look how great this property is, and your investors are coming and being like, look at these 3 terrible comps, right? And you guys are currently always fighting on who has the best comps and the worst comps. But there is a amazing comp next door. What did that house sell for? 260? Do I remember correctly? What did that really nice one sell for?
Something like that. Higher. I think it was higher. I think it was 270 or 280 or something like that.
Okay. But it was 2 stories, 1 bedroom bigger. Okay. And I think okay, I'm gonna try to massage that comp into our yeah. Okay, so just so before we wrap this up, what are the numbers on our deal? So you locked it in at 90. We're gonna probably try to sell it at 99. It's not a huge deal. If we have to take 95, I'll take 95. I don't care. I just want to get it moved. It'd be a hero house to move. Everyone's tried to sell this deal. We'll be the only ones to ever do it. Then what do you think? What did we determine ARV is?
And if we use the good comps, and if someone goes in and renovates it really nice, I think it would sell for 210.
Okay.
But we're not sure on repairs. I estimated much lower than you.
Yeah. So how big is this house?
13, right?
13.
It's a small little house. It's a 3-2?
3-1.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to add a bathroom. Minimum 10 grand. So add 10 grand to our repair costs. So if you're just doing a normal rehab, add 10 grand now. And it needs everything.
They're not sure on the roof, so I added that in. And she said there is movement in the floor, so you have to do foundation.
Okay, so 10, 20. Okay, so so what did you think rehab was?
What I have 45?
I think so.
I think mine was 45.
Yeah. What did I say?
But I didn't add into 10K for a bathroom.
Yeah. So maybe 55. Ooh, the numbers are going to be tough. If 210's the actual ARV, it's going to be really tough. So actually, we'll wrap it up on this, guys. I wish I had my whiteboard out, but let's say this. So you guys are looking at this deal in your head. You're imagining it. Max, so you're going to sell this house for 100 grand. The investor needs to put, let's just say 50 grand of work into it, and they can sell it for 210. Seems like a great deal, right? They can make 60 grand. Oh, guys, I wish it was that easy. So let's work backwards. Let's say they sell it for 210. They're actually able to achieve their full ARV, right? And that's if, right? Today's market, most people are selling with price cuts. But let's just say they can get to 210. Well, they have to pay 3% seller's commission, 3% buyer's commission. Okay, now they're at 6%. And they have to pay probably like 2% in closing costs, so that's 8%. And usually stuff goes wrong, so we usually say 10%. Okay, so now subtract 10% from that. So now you're down to about 190. But wait, when they bought the house, you had to pay closing costs too. So they didn't actually buy it for 200. They probably paid, let's say, 200 and 3,000 or whatever. Right? Well, we can round it up to 205 to keep numbers easy. So now you're at 190 net, and you're at 205. Sorry, not 205. Sorry, 105 plus the 50 grand in rehab. So now you're at 155. So you're at 195 and 155. Well, Max, they're still going to make 40 grand. That sounds pretty good. It's sure a far cry from the 60 grand you were just saying, but 40 grand or whatever I was saying, 65 grand. But 50 grand or 40 grand is still good. Well, here's the problem, guys. One, they're probably not going to sell it for what they want out of it. But two, they can't just turn around and sell it the next day. They have something called holding costs. It's going to take at least 3 months to sell the house, right? Because you have to go in and fix it up. That rehab's probably going to take 45 to 60 days, and it's probably going to take at least 2 weeks on the market, could be a month on the market, and then even closing usually ends up taking a month. So let's just say 4 months, right? Well, 4 months, you have to pay 4 months of taxes, and 4 months of, maybe they have insurance, and 4 months of utility bills. Well, there shouldn't be that many utility bills. No, there still is. That's not how utilities work, unfortunately. So maybe now, guys, we're adding all this in. So add in another $5,000, right? So it's okay, Max. They're still going to make 35 grand. Well, guys, they didn't use their own cash because they don't just have $150,000 of cash laying around. They got a private money lender. You know what private money lenders are charging? 1% per month, 12% interest a year. Okay, so 1% interest per month, and we got now you don't get the loan for the whole value. You're probably getting a loan for 90% of value. So instead of $150,000 loan, let's just say they're getting a $130,000 loan. So now they have $1,300 a month in interest. Well, times that by 4 because it took 4 months to sell the house. Now they're at about another $5,000 in interest. Okay, so now they're not making, I can't even keep up with my numbers. I don't know where we were at. 35, now they're making 30 grand. But guys, they had to pay points. You don't just get these loans for free. You have to pay points. So they had to pay probably 2 points. So, that's about 3 grand. So now you can see now it's like, oh my God, I'm only going to walk away with like 25, 30 grand, right? And that's the thing. You don't actually make that much money on these deals. Even when everything works out perfectly, the flippers don't make that much money. And that's why, one, flipping is not easy money. It really isn't. People think that flipping's easy money. It really isn't. Two, that's why we need to get such deep discounts, because I'll have people in here, I'm sure like Shanks, like I'm the same way. It's like, bro, this is such a good deal. But if you actually run the numbers and you think about it from the mindset of a flipper, it's really not. They're not going to make that much. For 4 months of work to make, let's just say 25 grand, if everything goes right, that's not that good. And you're taking on all this risk, and you had to come out of pocket, maybe 20 grand or whatever. Like, that's not that good of returns. And that's if everything goes well. What if, you have to drop the price? Let's just say they had to drop the price 5%. So, they were trying to sell it for about 200,000. Dropping it 5% would mean they have to lower another 10K. Now they're walking out with less than 20K, right? So you can see how it goes so hairy so fast. And that's why we as wholesalers, we need to get amazing deals. And sometimes we're buying these deals and we start to feel bad for the sellers. We're like, oh my God, maybe I can give them 5 or 10 grand more. Guys, you really can't, because the buyer on the other side, he's not making that much money. And at the end of the day, he needs to make money to buy these homes and keep this business going. So that was a long rant, but hopefully that's a helpful look and a different look on things. So yeah.
Well, and I was going to say 2 things. The calculator that you sent us, I like that because it factors in quite a bit of that information, insurance and all of that.
Cool.
So that really helps. Also too, I'm not looking at just a cash flip exit for this one. Me and Skylar went over as a rental play as well. And rent is quite high in that area.
What is rent? I love this. So what's rent in that area for a fixed up $210,000 house?
About $2,500.
Seems off.
For a 3-bedroom.
I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
On the high side, 2,900 apparently. Yeah.
I don't believe it. There's no way. If it's $2,500 right now, our fund will buy it right now. Did you put it? There's no way, because I just can't see it. In my opinion, I'm thinking $1,700 in rent, and that's just going off of nothing. But I don't have a what's. Again, hey, I hope you're right. I hope desperately you're right, because then we would move it. It's really tough to get more than 1%. So guys, there's something called the 1% rule. And if you can find a rental property that rents for 1% of its home value, you have an incredible deal. So a $210,000 house, if it can get $2,100 in rent, that's amazing. like literally blown away, amazing. Like you should most likely acquire that property yourself or find a way to. So I don't know. I just don't see it renting for more than 2,000, probably closer to like 17, but I could be wrong. So how do we, I wish I could stream right now and go through everything, but how would you check rental comps? Just, unfortunately, the best y'all can do, because you guys don't have access to sold data, is go on Zillow and see what things are renting for. But that's what people are trying to get. And right now it's a buyer's market. So you as the renter have negotiation power. So most of these deals are renting for less than what they're putting it on Zillow for.
So my way of doing it is
Yes.
so extensive, but it's the only way I know how to do it. Is I will go in that general area and I will zoom in and it will show like, oh, 2.7 or 1.9 or whatever. And I will look at click on it, and I will go at the very bottom where it talks about the financials and stuff and look to see if it was rented recently. That's the only way I know how to do it.
That's not bad. Okay. And and again, hey, I am usually wrong because I'm not that smart. And I love to be proven wrong. So if it rents for that much, like I'll buy it. Unless this is some crazy gentrified area where people are overpaying for rent. But maybe. Okay. Well, I guess that's, we got homework. So yeah, guys, last thing is sometimes properties will make more sense as a fix and hold rather than a fix and flip. And it's usually our job as a dispo company to run those numbers and determine if we should market a deal as a fix and hold or fix and flip. Or, hey, this is a tear down. Or, hey, this is a new build play. Or, hey, this is one can be salvaged, whatever, right? That's usually the job as the dispo company, but you have a wholesaler should also know going into it. So if a property has substantially higher rent than the norm, if a property is close to a 1% rule, then look at it as potentially a fix and hold.
Oh, quick question. When you're looking at a possible buy and rent method, right? Are you doing the calculations different than you would a fix and flip? Where you do like take the ARV times it by 0.78, for example, then subtract your repairs. Are you doing it differently from that, or is it the same?
We need to know: do you use the percentage or not?
Yeah.
I haven't. I have not been using it, to be completely honest. If I'm only doing a rental exit, I take 180. It can rent for 1,800. I take 180,000, and I minus the rehab, and then I go down my wholesale fee, and that's it.
Oh, so you're running it more like if it was a duplex. Interesting. Okay, you want to explain to the world what you're doing, Kylie, at a little bit more depth?
That's just how I've learned.
No. I'm not saying anyone's right or wrong. Go. It's just a different way of looking at things. So go ahead and Kylie explain what you're saying.
Well, so take a 3-bed, 2-bath house. It can rent for about $1,800 a month. So 1%. So 180,000 is the quote unquote ARV. And then I'm like, okay, well, it needs like 50,000 worth of work. So I take out 50,000. So I take 180,000 minus 50,000. That's like the max number that RFP is going to buy it for. So then I go down and then work them a lot lower to get a bigger fee. That's
correct
how
or no?
Yeah, I would say that. Yeah, I would personally buy that house. You just got to make sure you're not inflating the numbers by saying, hey, there's a guest house, so therefore rent is more, or
right.
Or things like that, because then it doesn't work so well. But if it's a typical single family, maybe I'm going to regret saying this now, but I mean, that makes sense to me, right? Because again, if a house usually, and again, it's going to be very location dependent. If you guys find a 1% rule house in, a good area, well, I mean, I will absolutely buy it right now. A 1% rule house in a bad area is still pretty rare in today's market, but it's not that as cool. So I was trying to find an analogy, but I couldn't think of a good one. I only thought of really dumb ones that I will not say and by being recorded. So I'll keep those to myself. But anyways, so it is a little bit dependent. So it's not perfect, just like how the 70% rule is not perfect because it depends on location. But that's one good way of looking at it. And then really how I look at things a third way. I really say, hey, how much is it going, how much am I going to cash flow? And then I look at a cash on cash return basis. But that's really not so important for you as an investor. But yeah, it's such a great question, and there's really not a great answer to it. And again, the thing is, the reason why there's not a good answer is because every investor is going to look at it different, right? So every end buyer is going to look at it different. Me personally, I'm looking at it more from, this is how much equity spread I'll have, and this is how much cash flow I have, and I put this much into the deal, so this is my cash on cash return. I'm making 12%. Well, if my money was in the bank, I'd be making 5%, 7% premium, and I get 30 grand in equity. I'm happy with that. That's how I look at things. You have other people who are just like, 1% rule, I'll buy it right now. Right? Everyone's different. Or 70% of ARV, let's buy it. So there's just not a good answer. But anyways, but yeah, buy and holds are awesome.
Okay.
I did find a 700 square foot house listed to rent for $2,100 right up the street.
That's 700 square foot house for $2,100 for rent. Now, Kylie, is it fully furnished?
They are completely remodeling it as we speak. It says June 5th. It will be able to be.
What is it, furnished? Does it come furnished?
No, I don't think it comes furnished.
Okay, because sometimes I've seen ludicrous rents on Zillow, and they're renting it month to month or week to week, fully furnished. You have to be careful.
Mm-hmm.
So they're pretty much doing like a long-term Airbnb. But hey, I'm gonna go home and run those numbers. Creative Buck Cody, your time to shine is next Tuesday. Is your power out here, buddy? Because my power is so far out. Oh, Cody, we can't hear you, buddy. You're muted.
I hear him.
Oh, what?
We heard him.
What?
Sorry.
What?
He's muted for you.
He's just muted for me. Oh my God, I still have him muted from a long time ago. My bad, Cody. This poor guy's probably been trying to talk forever. Let me figure out how to unmute you. Oh my God, I feel so bad. Oh, there you go. What's up, dude?
What's up, man? I've just been talking shit between phone calls. That's all. Everybody else has been hearing me.
What? Has everyone heard you?
Yeah, I didn't know that you could hear him. I thought you were ignoring him.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry.
Yeah,
guys.
I thought you were ignoring me.
Dude, no, Cody, I never ignore you, man. You have my dream facial hair. I never ignore you. My bad. Okay, I guess I learned how to do that now. I think I muted you like 3 live streams ago.
Yeah, because my wife walked in and made a sound towards the dog, and then you're like, "All right, you're gone."
Oh, I'm so sorry. I am so sorry, Cody. Anyways, you're running next week's live stream on Tuesday on Wraps, dude. But I just wanted to see if you have any words of advice for the people.
On Wraps or Reynolds?
No, don't even get started.
Don't
get started on Wraps because I can't go another 3 hours on a live stream. I'm gonna sweat to death.
I mean, so long story short, I make mailbox money.
Okay.
I don't even have to get mad at anybody. Yeah, it's pretty easy. It's like you explained it a lot better. I'll have my tablet connected to the stream so I can draw and people can kind of understand me. Because the way I explain things, I explain it as how it pops in my head. And I realize that a lot of people don't correlate that. But yeah, get ready for wraps, guys. I just wrapped one in Ardmore, Oklahoma. I bought a sub 2. Never using that escrow service again. I will probably name drop them when I bring it up next stream. And when we bought the sub 2, it's got a 5-year underlying balloon, 2.75%. We wrapped it, and using all the down payment to pay back the line of credit I pulled out to buy it. So that's going to be $470 a month in cash flow.
Ooh.
And I only had it on the market for 2 weeks.
And this is okay, Cody, come on. Like, this can't be cash flow. You have to fix up the house. You have vacancies. You have all this stuff, don't you?
The vacancy is the only problem, dude. I got it gone before my next payment too, so their down payment pays for the payment.
No, I was trying to give you a layup, bro.
Oh, my bad.
No, it's all good.
Dude,
I'm just pretty much saying you're the bank, bro, right? So you don't have to deal with tenants and toilets, right? You're just collecting this money. It's actually cash flow, right?
Yeah, it's like you're giving them the pride of home ownership. And I mean, me personally, I don't check credit. I'm just like, hey, if you got down payment and both y'all work, it's your house.
Okay, guys, this is when I say cash flow, I mean either like cash flow or I mean wraps, because wraps is literal cash flow. If you don't have a vacancy, you're collecting that cash flow. And if none of that made sense to you, next week you'll understand. But Cody's talking.
My time to shine.
Your time to shine, man. It's all you. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna jump off this live stream. I've been sitting in the sauna for 2 hours, so I'm gonna get home.
Good for you.
All right.
All right. I'll see
Thanks,
y'all
dude.
later. No, thank you guys for joining last minute in this whole mess.
Thanks, Sue.
Later,
Bye,
guys.
Sue. All right.
All right, guys.
See y'all later. See y'all later.
Later.